Chapter 1. The Day I Lost Everything. My name is Evelyn. My life was simple before everything broke. I was an only child and I loved my parents. I grew up with quiet days and safe nights. But when I got married, life changed. My husband was kind at the start, but his parents never accepted me. They said, "You are not good for our son." Their words cut me every day. I tried to fix things. I tried to be good. But nothing was enough for them. When my baby girl Mia was born, I thought things would get better. I thought a child would bring peace. But my in-laws became worse. They controlled everything. They controlled how I held her. They controlled what I fed her. Sometimes at night I cried quietly. I held Mia close and whispered, "I will always protect you." She was small, soft, warm. She was the light of my life. Then my husband died in an accident. I still remember the day the police came. My mother-in-law cried loudly, but her eyes were cold. She said, "This happened because of you." I stood frozen. I knew nothing would ever be the same. After his death, their anger grew stronger. They stopped talking to me. They stopped helping me. They watched me like an enemy. Mia was the only reason I stayed in that house. I worked in a small bakery to buy milk for her. I walked every morning and came home tired. But her smile made me forget everything. One evening I returned from work and felt something strange in my heart. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I called her name. No answer. I walked to her room. The crib was empty. The blanket was gone. Her clothes were gone. Her toys disappeared. I felt my breath leave my body. I screamed, "Where is my baby?" But only silence came back. My mother-in-law stood in the doorway. Her face did not move. She said only one sentence. "Forget the baby. She has a better family now." I fell on the floor. I cried so hard that my chest hurt. I said, "Please, please tell me where she is. I am her mother." She turned her face away. She did not care about my tears. That night I walked to the police station. My hands were shaking. I told them everything. An officer said, "We cannot help you. You are poor. You cannot fight adoption papers." Those words broke my soul again. I went to a lawyer the next day. He said the same thing. It felt like the world was closing on me. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. But the pain stayed inside me. I kept searching, but every door shut in my face. I worked as a cleaner and lived like a shadow. Every night I opened my bag and held Mia's baby bracelet. It had her small name on it. I touched it and whispered, "Baby, forgive me. I will find you one day." Years later I moved to my son Michael's home. He was kind but weak. His wife Harper never liked me. She said, "You make me uncomfortable." I stayed silent. I cleaned the house, cooked food. I tried to respect her, but nothing made her happy. One morning Harper shouted at me again. Her voice was sharp. She said, "You ruin everything. You don't belong here." Michael stood behind her. His eyes were down. He said nothing. I looked at him. I hoped he would say one word for me. But he stayed quiet. That silence hurt more than all the years of pain. I felt something break inside me. I slowly went to my small room. I packed a few clothes. I picked up the little money I had saved. Last I took Mia's bracelet, the only piece of her I still had. I kissed it and put it in my bag. I walked out of the house. My heart was heavy. My legs felt weak. I sat on a bench near the bus stop. I had nowhere to go. I had no home left. I had no strength left. I closed my eyes and whispered, "God, if you can hear me, please show me what I should do now." A tear fell. My hands trembled. My chest hurt. I felt alone, more alone than ever before. But I did not know that this single night, this one painful night, was the beginning of everything I had prayed for. Like, subscribe and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. Chapter 2. A bench, a stranger, a new door. I sat on the bench with my bag held close to my chest. My hands were shaking, and my heart felt empty. I touched the baby bracelet inside my bag and whispered, "Mia, I did not leave you." My voice broke as soon as the words came out. I felt lost. I felt tired. I felt small. I did not know what tomorrow would look like. I only knew that tonight hurt more than any night in my life. A gentle voice came from behind me. "Ma'am, are you okay?" I turned slowly and saw a man standing there. His eyes looked kind and his tone was soft. I wiped my tears and said, "Yes, I am fine." He sat beside me without asking. He said, "It is late. You shouldn't be out here alone." I lowered my eyes and said, "I have nowhere to go." He looked moved by my words. "My name is Daniel," he said. I told him my name. "I'm Evelyn." He asked no questions, but I could feel he understood pain very well. For a moment we sat quietly. Then he said, "I don't know what happened to you, but I can help a little." I looked at him with tired eyes and asked, "Why would you help me?" He gave a small smile and said, "Because sometimes a stranger is all we have, and sometimes a stranger becomes the start of a new life." His words touched me deeply. He took a small paper and wrote an address. He handed it to me. "Go here tomorrow morning. They need a cleaner. Tell them I sent you." I held the paper carefully. "Thank you," I said. "I don't know how to repay this." He shook his head. "You don't have to repay kindness. Just accept it." Daniel stood up, walked a few steps, and turned back. "You deserve peace, Evelyn. Don't be afraid to take a new door." After he left, I cried again, but this time the tears felt different. Not from hopelessness, but from something small and warm inside me. Maybe hope. Maybe God's hint. I slept on the bench that night. My back hurt and my legs were stiff, but my heart held Daniel's words. In the morning I walked to the address he gave me. When I pressed the bell, I was nervous. A young woman opened the door. She smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Melissa. Can I help you?" I said softly, "I came for the cleaning job. A man named Daniel sent me." Her eyes lit up. "Daniel, that's my dad. If he sent you, then you're perfect for us." I froze for a second. I did not know Daniel was her father. Alyssa welcomed me inside with a warm tone. "Dad helps many people." She said he has a soft heart. She showed me a small room and said, "You can stay here. Dad told me you might need a place too." My voice trembled as I said, "He said that." Alyssa nodded gently. "Yes, he said you looked tired and needed rest." My eyes filled with tears. I whispered, "Nobody thinks about me like this." She placed a soft hand on my arm. "Well, we do now." I sat on the bed and opened my bag. I held Mia's bracelet and whispered, "Baby, something is changing. I hope this is your sign." For the first time in many years I felt a small light inside my heart. Maybe it was trust. Maybe it was safety, but it was new for me. Later that afternoon, Daniel came home. He walked to my room and knocked lightly. "May I come in?" I nodded. He stepped in and said, "I hope you are feeling safe here." I looked at him with wet eyes and said, "You don't know what you did for me. I had no place. Nobody cared. And then you showed up." He replied softly, "Sometimes God sends the right person at the right moment." I lowered my head. "I don't want to trouble you." Daniel shook his head. "You are not a trouble. You just need a chance to stand again." His words felt like a soft blanket around my heart. He added, "From tomorrow you can work with us. You will have food, rest, and respect." I whispered, "Respect." I forgot that feeling. he said. You will remember it again. Slowly. That night I sat alone and cried. Silently. But these tears were not the same tears. I cried on that bench. These tears had hope in them. Something inside me whispered, maybe your life is not ending. Maybe a new door has opened. Join our membership for exclusive English stories. Link in the description. Chapter 3. The House on Riverbank Street. My first morning in the house felt strange. My heart was still heavy, but something inside me felt calm. I woke up early and sat on the bed with Mia's bracelet in my hand. I whispered, I am trying, baby. I am still trying. My voice was soft, but the pain inside me was still deep. I stood up slowly, because my legs felt weak from last night's crying. Alyssa knocked on my door with a cheerful voice. Good morning, Evelyn, Dad said to take it slow today. You can start working after breakfast. Her smile was bright. It almost felt like sunlight touching a place inside me that had been dark for years. I said, thank you, child. You are very kind. She laughed softly. No, you are the kind one. You look like someone who has loved a lot. Her words hit something inside me, but I stayed quiet. She talked fast like young people do. She told me she had an online class. She told me she would be home most of the day. I nodded slowly. I still did not know how to talk freely. Pain makes people quiet. In the afternoon, I started my new work. I cleaned the kitchen. I folded clothes. I arranged books. My hands were doing the work, but my mind kept thinking, why did God bring me here? Why this house? I remembered Daniel's face when he said, you deserve peace. I kept hearing that line again and again. While sorting some papers in the living room, I heard a voice behind me. Evelyn, do you need help? It was Daniel. I turned and said, no, I can do it. I am used to working. He nodded slowly. I know, but you don't have to carry everything alone anymore. I felt my throat tighten. I whispered, it's hard to believe that. Daniel looked at me for a moment and said, one day you will believe it. Again. As the day passed, I started noticing small things about Alyssa. She talked a lot, but she listened too. When she laughed, it filled the whole house. She kept coming near me asking small questions. Do you like coffee? Do you read books? Do you sleep early? I smiled at her and said, you ask too many things. She laughed loudly and said, it's because I like you. You feel warm. I did not know how to respond. Nobody had liked me in many years. Late in the afternoon, something unexpected happened. I went to Daniel's study room to arrange some books on the table. I saw a small family photograph in a wooden frame. The picture showed Daniel holding a tiny baby girl. Alyssa was maybe 5 months old in the picture. I felt my heart stop for a second. My hands began shaking. The date on the back was the same year Mia was taken. From me, the same month, the same week. My breath became slow. My fingers became cold. I whispered, no, no, this cannot be. Tears filled my eyes, but I tried to blink them away. I walked out of the room. My chest felt tight. My legs felt weak. I sat on the edge of the bed and held Mia's bracelet again. I closed my eyes and said in a broken voice, God, what are you showing me? After dinner, Alyssa came to my room with a small box. She said, I want to show you something. She opened it and took out a bracelet. My heart almost stopped beating. It looked exactly like the one I kept in my bag. Same beads, same shade, same small letters. She smiled and said, I had this since I was a baby. Dad doesn't know where it came from. Do you like it? My fingers went cold. I could not speak. I felt something strong inside me. Something between fear and hope. I whispered, yes, child. I like it. Inside, my heart was screaming. Is this Mia? Is this my baby? But I did not let any words come out. I was too scared to hope. Later that night, Daniel asked if I could help him sort some old files. While opening one drawer, my hand brushed against an envelope that had no name. Something made me open it. Inside was a paper with a note written in old ink. Emergency adoption. No questions allowed. My chest tightened again. My hands shook. I put the paper back before Daniel noticed. While walking to my room, I saw something outside the window. A man standing near the street. He was looking at the house. His posture felt strange, familiar. My heart beat fast. I whispered, "Why is he watching?" But the moment I blinked, he walked away. Into the dark. My mind filled with questions. Why did Alyssa have the same bracelet? Why was the adoption called emergency? Why did a stranger watch the house? Why did the date on the photo match Mia's age? I went into my room and sat on the bed. My hands were still trembling. I held my bracelet and said in a shaking voice, "Mia, are you here? Are you close to me? Tell me, baby. Tell me somehow." Tears rolled down my face. My heart felt full of fear and hope at the same time. When I finally lay down, I said one last line to myself. Something is happening. Something big. I don't know if it will break me or save me. Chapter 4. The bracelet that changed my life. I could not sleep that night. I kept staring at the two bracelets, one in Alyssa's hand and one in mine. Both had the same design. Both had the same soft beads. Both had the letter M engraved inside. My heart was beating too fast. I whispered to myself, "This cannot be a joke. This means something. This must mean something." But I was also afraid. Afraid to hope, afraid to dream, afraid to be wrong again. The next morning my eyes were swollen. But I went to work quietly. Alyssa walked into the kitchen with her bracelet on her wrist. She smiled and said, "Look, Evelyn, I wore it today. It feels special." My hands froze for a second. I said softly, "It looks beautiful on you." She laughed lightly. "Dad says I keep losing things, but somehow this bracelet never goes missing. Maybe it loves me." Her words shook me. I whispered in my heart, "Of course it loves you. A mother always chooses her child." Later that day, Daniel called me to help him in his study. He was arranging medicines and sorting papers. He looked tired. When I handed him his pills, he smiled gently. "Thank you, Evelyn. You make things easier." I lowered my eyes and said, "I only do small things." He replied, "Sometimes small things save people." His words touched something inside me. I felt seen, something I had not felt in years. While we worked, Daniel suddenly said, "I want to tell you something about Alyssa." My breath stopped. I said, "What is it?" He looked down and said, "Alyssa is adopted. I took her when she was 5 months old." My hand shook so suddenly that I had to hold the table. 5 months. Same as Mia. Same time, same bracelet. My voice became weak. "Did you meet her birth mother?" He shook his head. "No, the adoption was done fast. My lawyer arranged everything." My throat tightened. I asked, "Why so fast?" Daniel sighed. He said the baby needed a home urgently. He used the word emergency. My heart felt like it stopped beating. Emergency. The same word I saw in the envelope. I decided to show him my bracelet. My fingers trembled as I opened my bag. I took it out slowly and placed it in Daniel's hand. He stared at it for a few seconds and whispered, "This is the same bracelet Alyssa has." His voice broke. "Evelyn, what does this mean?" My eyes filled. Instantly, I said, "It means something. I am scared to say." He stepped closer and said gently, "Say it. I am listening." I whispered, "It means Alyssa might be my daughter." He took a deep breath and sat down. His voice was soft. "Evelyn, are you sure?" I said. "I am not sure of anything but the year. The age, the bracelet. Everything matches." He held the bracelet tightly and said, Then we will find the truth together. We decided to do a DNA test. My heart was shaking with fear. Daniel placed his hand on my shoulder and said, "Whatever. The truth is, you will not face it alone." I felt tears fall again. Nobody had said that to me in years. But that night something strange happened again. A letter was placed under the door. It said only 2 lines. "Stop searching. Some secrets must stay buried." My hands turned cold. I hid the letter in my room. I did not want to scare Daniel or Alyssa. A little later I heard quiet footsteps near my door. When I opened it, slightly, Alyssa stood there with her bracelet in her hand. Her eyes looked soft. She said, "Evelyn, I don't know why, but I feel close to you. When I talk to you I feel safe. Like I know you." Her voice cracked. I looked at her and said, gently, "Sometimes hearts remember things before the mind does." She stepped closer and hugged me. Suddenly, my body froze. I did not know how to breathe. My hands slowly lifted and held her back. I whispered, "It's okay, child. I am here." She whispered into my shoulder. I don't know why I feel like crying. My voice cracked as I said, "Maybe your heart is telling you something true." When she left, I held my bracelet and cried alone. I said softly, "God, if she is mine, do not let this hope break me again." The next morning, Daniel told me the test kit had arrived. He said, "Once Alyssa gives her sample, we will send it." My legs felt weak. I whispered, "I am scared." Daniel nodded. "I know, but truth is better than doubt." Before the test, I sat with Alyssa at the dining table. She smiled widely and said, "Evelyn, if anything ever scares you, you can tell me. I am here." My breath trembled. I wanted to tell her everything I wanted to say. "You are my baby." But I stayed silent. I said only one sentence. "Sometimes love waits a long time before it finds its way back." Alyssa looked confused but touched. She held my hand for a moment and my eyes filled again. I kept thinking, how do I hold myself together when she might be mine? How do I stop my heart from loving her already? Later I walked back to my room. When I closed the door I whispered, "Mia, maybe I found you. Maybe you found me." My hands were shaking. My heart was heavy, but I felt something I had not felt for many years. A hope so strong that it scared me and healed me at the same time. Join our membership for exclusive English stories. Link in the description. Chapter 5. The Secrets We Didn't Know. The days after the DNA test felt very heavy. My heart beat fast every morning. I tried to work. I washed clothes. I cooked meals. I helped Daniel with his papers. But every small thing reminded me of Mia. Every smile from Melissa made my chest tighten. I kept thinking, what if she is mine? What if God returned her to me after all these years? Then fear whispered, and what if you are wrong? This fight inside me never stopped. One afternoon Alyssa came to the kitchen and sat near me. She said, "Evelyn, can I tell you something strange?" I nodded. She looked down and whispered, "When I am near you I feel peaceful. I don't know why." My hands froze. I took a slow breath and said, "Sometimes people connect without any reason, child." She looked into my eyes and said, "No, it feels deeper than that." My heart almost broke. I wanted to hold her and scream the truth, but I stayed quiet. I was scared to hurt her. Later that day, Daniel asked me to sit with him for a moment. His voice was soft. He said, "Evelyn, I can see you are worried. I am too." I looked at him with tired eyes. "I am afraid," I said. "I don't want to lose again." He nodded slowly. "And I don't want you to break again." His words made tears rise in my eyes. He wiped one tear gently and whispered, "Whatever happens, we face it together." That evening something unexpected happened. Michael came to see me. He stood at the door with shame in his eyes. Mom, I'm sorry, he said. I should not have let Harper speak to you like that. I felt pain hearing his voice, but also a little comfort. I said, I only ever wanted you to be happy. He held my hands and said, I want you to be happy, too. You deserve a home. I nodded slowly. He looked around and said, this house feels good for you. I can see that. Before leaving, he whispered, if that girl is really my sister, I want to meet her. When he left, I sat on the bed and cried quietly. Everything felt too big, too heavy, too close. The next morning, Daniel took me with him to a small storage room. He said, there are some of Alyssa's old things here. Maybe we can find something useful. We opened boxes one by one. Old toys, small clothes, some random papers. Then I saw a small notebook. It had Alyssa's name written in a shaky hand. Daniel said, this was her baby diary. My breath caught. I opened the first page slowly. There were only 3 words written inside. Emergency baby transfer. I felt dizzy. Daniel whispered, this is the same word the lawyer used. I nodded. My hands trembled. Daniel, someone hid something. Someone changed something. He sat beside me. Evelyn, someone did not want you to find the truth. My eyes filled instantly. Why, Daniel? Why did they do this to me? He held my hand. Some people think they can decide another person's destiny. They were wrong. As we talked, my eyes moved toward a small old envelope inside the box. Picked it up. A faint address was written on it. My chest tightened. Was my old hometown, the same place where Mia disappeared, the same street where I lost everything? I whispered, this is not a coincidence. Daniel nodded. Nothing about this is a coincidence anymore. Later in the evening, I was sitting alone, holding both bracelets in my hand. Alyssa walked into my room quietly. She looked worried. Evelyn, are you crying? I wiped my face. No, child, just thinking. She came closer and said, can I ask you something? I nodded. She whispered, do you think everyone gets a second chance at love? I looked at her with soft eyes. Some people wait many years for that chance. She lowered her head and said, Dad never says it, but he feels lonely. I said gently, pain makes people quiet. It also makes them strong. Alyssa touched the bracelet on my palm and said, this feels like a story. A sad one, or maybe a beautiful one. My heart trembled. I said softly, sometimes sad stories turn into beautiful ones when truth comes. She looked into my eyes with something deep inside her. Maybe recognition. Maybe love. Before leaving, she gave me a warm hug. Don't feel alone, Evelyn. I am here, she whispered. I held her tightly. My voice shook. And I am here for you, too. When I was finally alone, I said to myself, the truth is near. I can feel it. My heart was scared. My heart was hopeful. I was standing in the middle of fear and love at the same time. I looked up and whispered, God, if this is really my child, don't let her heart break. Chapter 6. The truth that broke the silence. The DNA results arrived early in the morning. Daniel held the envelope in his hand like it was something fragile. My heart beat fast the moment I saw it. I felt fear in my chest. I felt hope in Deanna. My throat. I whispered, I am scared. Daniel. He looked at me with gentle eyes and said, I know, but you are not alone. This time. His words made my eyes fill, but I nodded. We sat down slowly. My hands were shaking, so I hid them under the table. Daniel opened the envelope with care. Read the first line. His eyes changed. He took a deep breath. The room felt silent. I whispered, Daniel, please say something. His voice broke. When he finally said, Evelyn, it's true. My whole world stopped. Tears filled my eyes in 1 second. My voice cracked as I said, she is my daughter. Daniel nodded. Yes, Alyssa is your Daughter. I covered my mouth with my hand. Years of pain rose inside me like a storm. I whispered, my baby, she is alive. My body shook. My heart hurt. But it was a different kind of hurt. Hurt mixed with joy. Just then Alyssa entered the room. She looked confused. Why are you both crying? Daniel stood up slowly. He held the paper toward her and said, Alyssa, you need to read this. She walked closer. She took the paper. Her eyes moved across the words. Her hands started to tremble. She whispered, What? What does this mean? I said softly, It means I am your mother. Alyssa's breath stopped. Tears filled her eyes. She looked at me like she had seen a piece of her own past. She stepped forward slowly. Then, suddenly she fell into my arms and cried with her whole heart. You're my mom, she sobbed. I held her tightly. Yes, my child. I never stopped looking for you. Never. She cried harder. Why did they take me away? I whispered. They lied. They stole you from me. But I never stopped loving you. She hugged me like she was afraid I would disappear. I felt her tears on my shoulder. I held her face and kissed her forehead. You came back to me. I whispered. She cried. Maybe I always felt you. I just didn't know it. My heart broke and healed at the same time. We sat together for a long time. Alyssa held my hand with both of hers. She whispered, Tell me everything. I want to know my story. I told her the truth. Every painful piece, every wound, every long night I cried. She listened silently. Her tears fell again when I said, I prayed for you every night. She touched my cheek softly. I am here now, she whispered. Daniel watched us quietly. When Alyssa hugged him too, she said, Dad, you gave me love. You raised me. Nothing will change that. Daniel's eyes filled. And nothing will change the fact that I will always protect you. Alyssa looked at both of us and whispered, So now I have two parents. I nodded. Yes, two people who love you deeply. Alyssa left the room for a moment. Daniel sat beside me. His voice was soft. I am glad this truth is finally out. I looked at him with wet eyes. You helped me find my child, Daniel. I will never forget this. He shook his head slowly. You deserve this miracle. I whispered. I did not think God remembered me. He said he never forgot. A few minutes later, Alyssa returned, holding both baby bracelets. She placed them in front of us. These belong together, she said with a shaky voice. I smiled through tears. Just like us. She hugged me again. I don't want to lose you now. I held her tightly. You won't. Not again. For the first time in many years I felt whole. The truth broke the silence that lived inside me for so long. Now I had my daughter. Now I had a new family. Now my heart was learning to breathe again. Chapter 7. The days our hearts learn to heal. The days after. The truth felt gentle and heavy at the same time. Alyssa stayed close to me. She held my hand when we walked from one room to another. She sat beside me during meals. Sometimes she looked at me with soft, searching eyes like she was trying to understand a part of her heart she never knew before. I felt the same. I was happy, but fear still lived quietly inside me. I wondered if she would change her mind one day. I wondered if she would feel torn. I whispered to myself many times, Please, don't let this bond break again. One morning she came to my door. She stood there silently for a moment before saying, Mom, can I sit with you? My breath stopped. For a second. Hearing her call me Mom felt like a warm hand around my heart. I nodded. She sat close and leaned her head on my shoulder. After a long pause, she whispered, I don't know what I'm feeling. It's all new. I touched her hair gently. You don't have to figure everything out today. I said, I waited many years for you I can wait for your heart to. She held my hand tightly. I don't want to lose you now. My voice broke. You won't lose me. Not again. Later, Daniel joined us in the living room. He looked at both of us with soft eyes. How are you two doing? He asked. Alyssa smiled at him through tears. Dad, nothing will change what we have. He nodded slowly. You will always be my daughter. I felt something warm in my chest. She had 2 homes now and both homes loved her. Alyssa turned to me and said, and you are my beginning. I held her hand and whispered, you are my answered prayer. During the next few days she asked me many small questions. What was my first word? What songs did you sing for me? Did I sleep in your arms? Each question felt like a small door opening between us. I answered softly even when my voice trembled. You tried to say Mama first. I sang the same lullaby every night. And yes, you slept on my chest for hours. Sometimes she cried when I told her stories. Sometimes she smiled as if she was collecting pieces of herself. One afternoon she held my wrist and whispered, maybe I always felt you somewhere. I pressed her hand gently. A mother's love never leaves her child. Not even when the world takes the child away. Daniel watched all of this quietly. He never tried to stop our closeness. He gave space to both of us. One evening he said, I am proud of both of you. You are healing each other. I looked at him and said, thank you for keeping her safe. He lowered his eyes. I only did what any father would do. I said softly, you did more than that. That night I sat on my bed holding the 2 bracelets. They looked small but they held our whole story inside them. When I touched them I felt peace. For years they were the only proof of my child. Now my child lived in the room next to mine. Now her voice filled the house. Now her hand held mine. Alyssa walked into my room quietly. She sat beside me and said, can I stay here for a while? I nodded. She lay down and placed her head on my lap. I don't know why, she whispered, but it feels safe with you. I placed my hand on her back and said, softly, and I feel alive with you. She held my wrist and whispered, Mom, maybe some people leave us so we can meet them again in a stronger way. I kissed her forehead. Maybe that is how God works. When she closed her eyes I smiled. Through tears. For years my life was full of loss. But now it was full of healing. For the first time in a very long time, I felt whole. I felt loved. And I felt like the story of my life had finally opened a new chapter. One filled with hope. Chapter 8. The home we finally found. Alyssa woke up beside me the next morning with a quiet look in her eyes. She stared at me for a long moment as if she was trying to understand how something so big could change her life. Overnight, she touched my hand softly and whispered, I feel like I've known you forever. Her voice was gentle, scared, and excited. At the same time I pulled her closer and said, some connections are born before we understand them. She took a deep breath and placed her head on my shoulder. Mom, I want this feeling to stay. My heart trembled. I held her face and whispered, it will. Promise you it will. We joined Daniel at the dining table later and the room fell into a silence that felt warm instead of strange. Alyssa looked at him with softness and said, Dad, I need you to know something. I still need you. You are still my father. Nothing will ever change that. Daniel swallowed hard before answering. I know. I never wanted to replace anyone. I only wanted to love you the best way I could. Alyssa reached for his hand. You did. You gave me a life where I felt safe. I watched them in silence and my heart felt full instead of threatened. There was space for both of us in her life and that was a gift I had never expected. In the afternoon she asked me to sit with her while she looked through her baby things again. She opened the small box slowly and placed each item in her lap as if she were touching moments she didn't remember but wanted to claim. When she found the 2 bracelets, she held them carefully. These were apart for so long, she said, and somehow they still made their way back to each other. I felt tears gather in my eyes as I whispered, "Just like us." She leaned toward me and rested her head against my shoulder. "I don't want to live another day without you," she said. "I want you in every part of my life now." My chest tightened with emotion. "And I want every part of yours," I answered softly. As evening came, the 3 of us sat in the living room together. Alyssa held my hand with one side and Daniel's with the other. Felt like a circle, gentle, complete, unbroken. She looked at both of us and said, carefully, "I used to wonder why I always felt like something was missing. Now I know what it was. It was this." Daniel placed his other hand over hers and said, "Sometimes life takes long roads to reach the right place." I added, quietly, "And sometimes the right place is not a place at all. It's people." For the first time our silence felt like home. No words were needed. Our hearts understood each other. Later that night, Alyssa came into my room again. She sat beside me with her knees pulled close to her chest. "Mom," she said softly, "can I ask something?" I nodded. She took a slow breath. "Will you promise me that you won't leave even if things get complicated?" I touched her cheek with both hands. "I waited 15 years for you. I am not going anywhere now." She leaned forward and wrapped her arms around me tightly. "I love you," she said with a trembling voice. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "I love you, my child, more than anything." When I finally lay down to sleep, I held both bracelets in my hands. For years they were only memories. Tonight they were a beginning. I closed my eyes and felt something I had not felt in a long time. Peace. Not the quiet kind that fades, but the deep kind that stays. My daughter was near me. My life had meaning again. And for the first time, home wasn't a place I wished for. It was the life we were building together. Join our membership for exclusive English stories. Link in the description. Like, subscribe, and share. Read this story and many more on our website, bookishenglish.com. Link in the description. The end.